Welcome to Run. The world in between. Very fun one more try kinda speedrunning platformer. With the game being RNG, you shouldn't expect levels that are generated tile by tile but rather more a few core blocks that will change with every time you play a level die or repeat. You'll quickly understand how to overcome each block and will need to pay attention to the next one to make sure you survive Run. Levels are short enough to not become extremely frustrating when the building blocks become harder and harder. I'll give a positive review to this game, which is amazing, but still point out some issues that I have with the game. This is just my opinion. I think some issues will become less and less annoying by just getting used to the game and playing more, but here I go. Procedurally generated platformer, in theory a good idea, in practice, it has its ups and downs. I don't think there's any benefits to the game to be procedurally generated from the start. Have at least a campaign with fixed stages, as a first approach to the game, and have the RNG-based stages as modes later on, or as New Game Plus. I know it's kind of the selling point of the game, but here are my issues with this. Greater than when we encounter a new challenging pattern for the first time, the first reaction when we die is okay cool, I met something new I can't wait to try it again, but we won't immediately, because unless the RNG favors it, we won't see that pattern before a couple of run. That's one good thing about other precision platformers that have stages and not RNG-based patterns. If a specific pattern is challenging, we can just try it again to our convenience, and not just hope that we'll encounter it again. This just makes training some new patterns tedious. It makes failing those patterns again frustrating, and not endearing, because every fail means we just don't know when we'll get to practice the pattern again. Greater than some patterns combinations just don't click as well between each others in terms of flow. That one is just a question of habit, is quite subjective, but having to encounter that multitude of combinations, especially the less fun ones, instead of having a campaign with regular stages that are not RNG based just feels like there could be a better first approach to the game. The procedurally generated stuff would feel amazing after completing a main campaign, but from the get-go, that just gives a kind of meh experience sometimes. Greater than some crystals are not fun to get. It's doable, not necessarily difficult, but it's sometimes just too far from the fastest trajectory and feels like a drag to get. On some patterns, I just skip them, not because it's too difficult or whatever, but because it breaks the flow of the stage too much. This game makes you want to go fast, and some of these collectibles are placed in a way that breaks the pace of your run way too much. Here are things I like about the game, that will make me come back to it. Graphics, art style, it looks great. I don't really know what more to say about it, that one is pretty subjective, but I feel like this game has its own identity, very pleasing to the eye, and the animations are really satisfying to look at, work well with the gameplay and the pace of the game. Music, I didn't feel the need to turn off the music during my first 1h30 of playtime. It's immersive, not overwhelming enough to be noticed at all time, but good enough to keep you focused on the game. Gameplay, the perfect example of a simple but extremely efficient gameplay. There's not that many keys nor things to know about the movements, but it's satisfying and should make the game feel really good even for people that are not used to the genre. I also feel that, even though the skill floor is quite low, the skill ceiling is actually quite high for people that will go for speed runs, optimal trajectories. Long story short, easy to pick up, but hard to master. Overall I think it's a great game, definitely worth its price. I wouldn't mind paying more for games like this actually, and I can't wait to see more of it.